biodiversity hotspots, and the Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute plays a very important role in conserving these important resources. But how is it faring? My guest, Dr. Abiyot Birhanu, is the director of that institute. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You're almost 50, right? Next year you'll be 50 years old.
Yeah.
And you've been in that institute for the last 20 years.
Yes, actually, the institute was established in 1976. It's almost 50 years old, and it was established as Plant Genetic Resource Center, and which used to work only on plant genetic resources.
Until you moved on in 1998, right?
Yes, actually, yeah. But after 1998, it was changed to a holistic institute, which includes plants, animals, and microbial genetic resources, plus the ecosystems in which these life forms are found. So it became, inclusive.
You're known for the gene bank, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
The gene bank.
Yes.
Yeah, the gene bank has,
I know that it used to be an incredible part of your institution.
Of course, it's still an incredible part of our institution. It's, the nucleus of the institute. This gene bank, it holds collections from Ethiopia and collections from abroad. And these genetic resources are they are invaluable, actually. So, initially, when it was established as a center, the main objective was to collect those crop genetic resources, crops, especially food crops and condiments and so on. So the priority was just to use those crops for research purpose. And afterwards, when things changed, like the climate change, habitat destruction, and so on. So all these threats awaken all researchers to make it a little bit larger and technologically advanced. And now it holds about 92,000 accessions of crops and medicinal plants, spice, condiments, forest plants, and so on. So a lot of genetic resources in the gene bank. Actually, is the largest in Africa, and it holds 1/3 of all gene banks in Africa. So it's as the largest gene bank, not only in Africa, actually, in the world as well.
Interesting. So that's how, Ethiopia is a biodiversity hotspot, right?
Exactly.
And the fact that you have this gene bank in that form explains why it is so, right?
Yeah. Ethiopia holds two of the biodiversity hotspots in Africa, the Eastern Afro Mountain hotspot and the Horn of Africa biodiversity hotspot. These hotspots, they hold a rich diversity of species as well as threatened species and endemic species. Species which are found in those areas are, not all of them actually, but many of them are threatened because they are endemic in that area. Like, for example, the Bali Mountains National Park and other parts of northern Ethiopia, which are in this eastern Afro mountain hotspots, hold those threatened species like the red fox. We call it red fox in Bali Mountains National Park, and Bali Mountains is rich. Actually, it's one of the richest parks in Ethiopia as well as in Africa in terms of biodiversity. So the Horn includes the northern part of Ethiopia and Djibouti and Somalia. This in the Horn, and in that area also is one of the hotspots, and it includes a rich diversity of plants and animals, plus those threatened species in that area.
When you talk about those threatened species, do you believe that this is a race against time, whatever you're doing at the institute?
That's right, actually. It's a race against time, yes. We are losing many of them, not here in Ethiopia only, but in the world as well. The world is losing a number of species every day. So this is a race against time. We have to conserve We have to collect them, we have to conserve them in the appropriate place, which is, most of the time we advise to conserve them where they are, where they belong.
In situ.
In situ, yes. In situ conservation is the best one. It's cheap in terms of expense. And, when it's a natural environment, the plants or animals, they flourish in that environment. So it's advisable to use the natural environment in situ. Otherwise, if that's not possible, then we have to take them out of that area. Either we have to bring them to the gene bank in Addis, or we have to conserve them somewhere else, which is equivalent, like the environment is similar to that environment. They will be taken care of. There is interference actually. We interfere. We, bring them there and waste some inputs, like, for example, taking care of them from time to time, and other things as well, other scientific methods. So we conserve them outside their natural habitat, which is called ex situ conservation. This is a little bit expensive, actually, in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of manpower. It's very expensive. But when you bring them to the gene bank, it's even more expensive. Yeah, because there are some related costs to make them viable. This is, so many activities there in the gene bank.
So the cause of what? The climate change, human activity. There's a range of issues here, right?
Both of them. Actually, mostly we recognize about 4 traits to the biodiversity. The first one is habitat loss. Habitat loss is common here in Ethiopia as well as worldwide. Like, for example, the expansion of cities, construction of some developmental activities, which actually, if you do an impact assessment, that's well and good. But anyway, it has an impact by any case. And the other one is unsustainable use. When we say unsustainable use, some, like, for example, you may use grazing areas for other purposes, which is other land use form. You may use plants or animals unsustainably, which brings them to a low number of individuals, or which brings them to extinction or threat. So the unsustainable use is very common in Ethiopia or in Africa as well, and anywhere else in the world. The other one is invasive alien species. These are exotic species which are brought from other countries and which thrive here in Ethiopia. When you bring species which are not indigenous to the country, they are brought without their enemy. There is check and balance in ecosystems. Species have their own enemies. That keeps the balance, the population at stake. Otherwise, when you bring a species without its enemy, it can flourish and it can expand uncontrollably. That's the problem we have in Ethiopia. For example, if you take Prosopis juliflora, which is found in Afar area, as a species in the...
That was introduced in the late 1980s, I guess?
Yeah, in the late 1970s.
Oh, the 1970s.
Yeah, it was brought to Ethiopia for multi-purpose, as a multi-purpose tree, like for forage, fence, windbreak, and so on. Now it covers about 1.5 million hectares in Afar region and Somali region only, and it's expanding. Even it's expanding towards the southern part of Ethiopia and the drylands. So invasive species, they are a serious threat to local biodiversity. And if you can take Ecornia crassips, which is found in Lake Tana and other lakes in Ethiopia, that's a very serious threat, not only the biodiversity, but it will be a threat to even our dams, like the Renaissance Dam.
Like the lakes that will be
created. Yeah, actually, in the future, if you don't take, we have to control it now. We have to, invest by enemies and control these species. Otherwise, it will be a threat in the future. Now it's a threat in Lake Tana. And there are also many invasive alien species which are threatening on biodiversity. The other one is, especially the fourth one, is climate change. It's, as you know, a hot issue. It was a hot issue in the past, and it's even now it's more hot. It's hotter even now. Climate change has caused a lot of threats to biodiversity and human life. Actually, biodiversity is under threat from climate change. Like, for example, plants cannot move. Plants have restricted habitat. So if that has the climate of that habitat, or like the weather or the rainfall, temperature, and so on, if those things change permanently, those plants will, become extinct in that area, or local extinction, because they cannot move. And the areas will be uncomfortable even for animals as well. So these things are really becoming very serious now. And as you know, climate is a worldwide issue. And there's also a summit in September, I think, in Ethiopia. So climate change is the other. So these four threats are, very serious threats of biodiversity here in Ethiopia as well as in the world.
So how are you basically involved in addressing these issues? Because this requires a multi-sectoral approach, you being one of the actors in this framework. How do you fit in into all that?
Yes, actually, we are...
Through research, conservation, collaboration with other institutions?
That's exactly what we do, actually. Yes, we are one of the institutions in Ethiopia. There are many stakeholders about these issues which are responsible, primarily or secondarily. As an Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute, biodiversity is a cross-cutting issue, actually. It is everywhere. You can find it in any institution. So we are leading that very important agenda. So we have to consult stakeholders. Actually, we do have a strategy, a biodiversity strategy, which is National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan. This strategy, there are about 18 leading institutions in that strategy. So these institutions have their own stake in conserving biodiversity. So we work together with institutions. We bring them together. So we, actually, as a primary institute of conserving biodiversity, we are responsible for many of the activities in that strategy.
You basically have assumed a leadership role.
Exactly, on this biodiversity agenda. As well as we work with any local or international or regional institution.
Have you created the right synergy?
Yeah,
or is quite a challenge?
I believe so. We are trying to do that. Actually, as an old institution, which used to work with many stakeholders, now I can say that we are at maturity level, and we are we do have so many stakeholders working with us, nationally or internationally, and I can say we have created the right synergy, but still we are working to make it even better.
Do you source support from other institutions outside of this country, Ethiopia? For example, recently you've hosted the secretary of the CBD, right?
Exactly.
And Ethiopia has been a signatory to that convention on biological diversity, 31 years.
Yeah, about like that. Yeah, we actually adopted the Convention on Biological Diversity in 1995, like that. Ethiopia is a party to that convention, and there are more than 190 countries worldwide which are party to that convention. Ethiopia is, has been playing very key role.
Considering the resources for which it sits.
Ethiopia is rich in biodiversity, as I told you. We are rich, and we do have also rich manpower. Like, as you remember, the late Dr. Birhanu Xavier, he was one of the key players in that convention when it was drafted, especially the biosafety part. So Ethiopia has played key role, and now it's playing also key role. We are always a star in that convention, And Astrid Shoemaker, the Secretary General, was here in Ethiopia, and we are very lucky that we had her in our institute. And we discussed a lot of things, very important things about biodiversity and how to fund, like...
The Kali Fund is there.
Exactly, the Kali Fund is about Access and Benefit Sharing Fund, which is very important and critical because we need it. As a biodiversity-rich country, we give access to our biodiversity, our genetic resources. So when you give genetic resources, it's not for free, no free lunch at all. So those institutions or anybody which access our genetic resource has to pay. That's what the Kali Fund means. Like, for example, the digital sequence information is now, it's famous actually. This word is famous now. So there are revenues from that DSI, we call it DSI, digital sequence information, as used as in the pharmaceutical industry, in the cosmetic industry, in the food industry, agriculture industry, so many applications. So all these institutions worldwide can pay up to $1 trillion per year.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Ethiopia can get, her stake from that fund. That's the Kali Fund. So we discussed about that. And it was actually very fruitful discussion with the Secretary General.
The other thing I want to talk about is you do research and, for example, on the wheat production.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very interesting one. You keep on doing that.
Yeah.
And it has become fruitful the last few years, right? And you're now harvesting the fruit.
Exactly.
Tell me about that.
We're a developing country, developing state actually. So as a developing state, we need, as I said, technologies. We need improved varieties. We need those varieties which give us more production and so on. We need inputs for the land like fertilizer or pesticides or so on. That's well and good. It's also applied worldwide. But as an institute, we work on, as I told you, I can say, like, for example, indigenous. When I say indigenous crops, which are, as I told you in the beginning, which are used to the habitat of this ecosystem or the country, indigenous crops, indigenous livestock or animals, indigenous microorganisms, and so on. These are our priority, actually, as an institute. But as a complementary activity, we do research on improving the productive capacity of crops as well as animals, for example. We do have, in the gene bank, as I told you, we have invaluable genetic resources. You cannot say this amount of money on that genetic resource. I can say it's invaluable, or you cannot put a price tag on that genetic. It's very expensive, I can say. So by taking some of the important crops from that gene bank, for example, wheat is, as you know, it's a priority agenda here in Ethiopia. So we tried to get those varieties or accessions. We say them accession. Those accessions which may be very productive, which may be tolerant to climate change or drought and short rainfall or other soil characters. And we tried that. So initially we selected about 80 accessions, and now we do have 4 very important accessions which are resistant to drought, resistant to fungal diseases, resistant to other environmental influences as well. This is one of our findings, very important finding.
So you have ended up finding you're seeing the results, right?
Exactly, we have seen the results, and they are highly productive. That's excellent news, I can say, because it can complement the agenda of food security or food self-sufficiency. We need food. Actually, we are about 130 million people. We have to eat. That's very important, and we need highly productive varieties or crops or animals and so on. So this is a very good complementarity. It doesn't, we have to be careful about that. We need improved varieties, and we need those indigenous crops which are highly productive, and tolerant to other environmental factors. Because if they are tolerant to, for example, fungal disease or other environmental stress, then our inputs will be very minimum. Yeah. If there are, disease, you have to apply. Pesticides, that's very expensive. But you can complement. You can balance them.
Strike the balance, yes.
Yeah.
Talking about the green legacy.
Very important initiative. And I'm always amazed by this initiative. The issue of deforestation here in Ethiopia, it was actually very serious. Ethiopia, once upon a time, had about 40% forest cover or vegetation cover. And, it dwindled to about 2 or 3%. It was very, very serious, as you see from the figures. And now, what we did, the Prime Minister initiated that the green legacy, and every human being was mobilized. Even kids were part of the green legacy, which now becomes a culture. Now people now plant trees, they plant fruits, they plant everything they had in their hands. So the green legacy is very important. Actually, it has changed the behavior of Ethiopians. We used to deforest the forests. Now we are trying to restore them through the green legacy.
With the indigenous forms?
Yes, actually, at the beginning, you have to plant any tree or any fruit tree which is in our hand. But now we are focusing on indigenous plants which are used to the environment. Like, for example, the Olea. Olea is a very beautiful tree and very important tree. And the cordia, and so many timber species, Ethiopian, all adapted to the local environment. So now we are really focusing on indigenous plants. And this green legacy, it will continue actually, because it's culture now. It's in the heart of every people.
And it's part of what you do.
And it's part of actually, yes. It supports our goal, our mission, and we are very happy about that. For example, until now, we have planted about 21 million indigenous trees as an institute. And every year, we are trying to plant 5 million indigenous trees, which is very important, actually, for the environment as well as for the economy.
By 2030, your vision is to become the center of excellence in Africa, and we are only 5 years to go. It's only 5 years remaining. Isn't that a vision that is too ambitious, perhaps?
Yes, it's very ambitious. Actually, we have to be ambitious.
Well, you need to be ambitious, but is it achievable? Is it doable?
Well, it's achievable. You said and I said it's a race against time. So we have to become center of excellence means, at least there are 3 or 4, things to fulfill to become center of excellence. One is capacity, and we are trying to fulfill our capacity. For example, we have built by the initiative of the government, all budget covered by the government. We have built, 2 big buildings in Addis, which are used to for microbial genetic resource gene bank and animal genetic resource gene bank. This is one. The other one is human capacity, and we're trying to train people in our institute, researchers. And now, when we set that vision, we do have about 5 PhDs in our institute. Now we have more than 30 PhDs, and it's continuous. In a few years' time, maybe in 3 or 4 years' time, we will have about 50 PhD graduates in our institute, which are capable of doing their best for the betterment of the institute. The other one is finance. Finance, the government is allocating the budget we are requesting every year, and we are trying to bring funds from abroad. And we have established a very vibrant team of project hunting team. We hunt projects or we hunt funds from abroad, from local sources. So when you bring them together, we will become center of excellence. So that's our vision, actually. It's true.
Dr. Abiyot, Birhanu, it was a pleasure having you on my show, and good luck with that vision.
Thank you.
got this feeling inside